Hello, hi. Once again, this is yours truly, Therese T. And today is Tuesday, the 29th of July, 2025. Before anything else, can I just invite you to anticipate the coming vlogs that I have, the video uploads that I'm going to have. The moment it starts, it should be a consecutive videos. It's actually a build-up of something that is significant and relevant, which I believe those who have known and who had subscribed to my accounts, even though they are not counted in the number of views, in the number of subscribers, for the technical reason that we are sorting out at this time, you know, it is I would give somehow the credit, part of the credit to you guys for sustaining the interest, and that you have a right to be either vindicated or to be corrected. Like, if you had any doubt before, that you just like somehow a fascination similar to something so horrible, but you cannot take your eyes off, or something, or like watching a falling down from a height, a great height of someone with very grand claims, and you await for the, you know, like it's a countdown to have the hard ground of reality to break something. Because yours truly had some really in during the advent of the internet here, and the things that I've already sharing was so bizarre. But now that they have managed to become relevant and they have come to pass, still there is no particular day where you are either vindicated or confirmed in the theory that, I know nothing about what I speak of, and that who am I, that I am the great pretender, or that I have misrepresented myself. So this is the build-up actually of not just your question, but my questions and the questions of others, that the will be answered through a very transparent and cannot be concealed proceedings or manner, that ultimately everyone will be given a chance how to regard each other. So that would I am trying to give the introduction to this series of videos that I am uploading, without giving the exact plot and the exact schedule that it will happen, that it will come through. Anyway, I started compiling the materials yesterday, and it's ongoing. So in connection to that, I am just it has to do with this current trend. I think nobody noticed when the exact paradigm shift had happened, because it happened so gradually with the discovery of what the internet can do for us, how it can alter the structure of a person's 24/7, the family structure, the concept of public life, privacy, and all that, like the model, the work model, the business model, everything had been changed. And what came with the change is the messaging system, the communication mode, especially the public communication. So, as compared before, since everyone has a compelling story to tell, not one person has the right to say otherwise. That if I come across, like if I publicly say that I have a compelling story to tell, no person has the right to say that I don't, and no one person has the right to negate that, but it's happening, right? So everyone has a right to say baloney. That's full of rubbish. That's BS. You don't have a compelling story to tell, so there's a pushback. Whereas before there was like, I will defend your right to say it. I may not agree with you, but you have the right to say what you have to say. And now, no, of course we don't. Like, oh, we have to cancel this guy, something like that, right? So it has become part of the norm. So it truly, the paradigm has shifted. And since everyone can now claim to have a unique perspective, or if not a unique perspective, that you're just sharing what has been said first, and that the right to react about something, about a commentary, has also begun. So everyone has a right to the attention of, like, the netizens, the social media, the your neighbor. Everyone has somehow a unique perspective, a compelling and interesting story to share, and this has become the medium of the, the introverts, and uh, only those who have real sacred vow to privacy can resist the social media, right? And in this paradigm shift, I too have found my medium, my platform. So where does the exception comes from? We can figure that out through the trending topics, of course, and if one has the time and some discipline, some services being offered do analyze the trend, the market trend, the the traffic, not the human trafficking, of course, the traffic of views, the traffic of participation, active participation from the market, like engaging their attention, and somehow the participation, it that is the backbone, fundamentals of marketing, right? So I guess the marketing people are not adverse to upping the ante. How do you say that? Yeah. So we have to. I mean, we are, with the attention span getting slimmer and slimmer, shorter and shorter. We have to up the play, the game, and it is, of course, for views, that is a very popular accusation or allegation, doing anything for the views because it's monetized, and somehow it feeds the morale of those who are said to be seeking attention, right? So upping the ante. Then, and some others, who are already there, it is also an acceptable thing to rain on your parade. Like, you cannot stay as like a number one trending personality without someone raining on your parade, intentional or not. But there's always a pushback. Advocacy versus advocacy, or the other end of the spectrum, it will somehow vie for the attention of the public who can subscribe, or who can be persuaded, yeah, who can be swayed by the, especially in a commentary, in the free market of ideas, the school of thoughts. Nobody will allow you free lunch over the people's approval, over the persuasion of your and it is what democracy is, and somehow the crucible of time, that's also very legitimate. It can do some good, like the pushback from, somehow the pushback can further like fine tune, as iron sharpens another iron. So a man can be helped by the critiques of another. So somehow it's also it depends, right? It depends on the situation, but more and more it has come to the wider birth of acceptance for someone not tolerating the ideas that we put out there. Sure, there are bizarre examples of getting and pushing it too hard, to the extent that life can be endangered, harassment, or something of that sort. But that is an exception rather than the rule. So, with the less attention span, I believe that the less context for any kind of story, or for any kind of narrative topic of discussion, the less context for full comprehension. Of course, we can have less context, but the fruit of the pie will be in the comprehension. We can we can avoid totally the context, but I don't think that comprehension is also that's the first casualty. Understanding, comprehension, attention. Of course, you cannot speak about something without giving the important details, like where did it come from, where did it happen, some factual details, given how the story can develop and can progress and can take on a different appearance day to day. So the trick is how not to burden the viewers with the background story and with the context, given the attention span and given the competition that's out there. So the messaging system, it is very important. And I speak of the vehicle of communication and messages, and why, for me, I always test myself whether I can understand the comment, or like the comment in the comment section, or the reaction of another opinion, opinion being expressed by a known personality on the internet, because I can't say cable TV because we don't have that. So it's always who are the popular personalities on the social media. So I look at how easily I can be lost in the narrative, and what is the difference, why my attention will be hooked by someone and still have and still manage to do my housework. I can be engrossed. I want to be engrossed, but I also want to understand, and I want to understand in the shortest time possible because I have a lot of duties and routines to fulfill. So I cannot be like my screen time is not unlimited. So that is how I look at my work and how I have managed to train myself for the here and now, and how I have managed to change my, the vehicles of my written manuscript. Like I started as a publisher, as a writer, then become publisher with a printed hard copy for sale through the bookstores. That although they did not enable me to prosper, I did not amass wealth over that. Still, the experience and how the change of the reality, I am able to participate in that. Now, to the specifics. This is a teaser to my coming podcast and vlogs. The somehow what you're listening consistently from me is just one of the legal position out there. And as I said, there is always a pushback and rival narrative to this. So each narrative is vying for the legitimacy, for the base on reality, and of course, now that a formal venue has opened and it is ongoing, naturally, the stipulation of facts, as I always said, this is where the biggest hurdle is the stipulation of facts. That's why I can say that the possibility of a face off between the personalities and however they will look on the day itself, still they're still up in the air. Why do I say that? Because on one side, before I was able to have the system that I can stand on as myself, not just as a name on a narrative, or a person on someone else's narrative. Before I was able to stand on my own credentials and become part of the commerce and trade, became part of different industries. There was a time that I was just a name on the paper, being pushed around, being submitted. How it managed to be that way, that is actually being untangled as of this time. So, whatever the final uh, look of what Mr. and Mrs. John and Clarissa Doe, the husband being John Doe, because there is still a very mysterious person, a man who is the husband of this one Clarissa talaga. And this John Doe is supposed to be a widower, and a widower has a dead wife, and who can be remarried, or who can have like a clerical error in the marriage certificate or in the birth certificate. It happens that sometimes there is some error in the registration, that an error in the birth certificates and marriage certificates, they have the prima facie, what do you call that? They have the presumption of regularity, and it will take a formal correction. And sometimes, if it's substantial, it has to go through court for the correction to take place. And if there is no court proceeding to correct the wrong, the spelling or the wrong name, then that person continues to exist within the system, because that is the law. The presumption of innocence, the presumption. Like we have here from Bamban Mayor, everybody knew that all, we had witnessed the Senate investigation on her identification, why she suddenly became the mayor of Bamban, Tarlac. But even though we knew all that, and that we can treat her as a non-Filipino, but formally speaking, it had to take a court decision for that to become a matter of fact, for her to be declared as a non-Filipino citizen, even though we all know that, right? So it's another matter. She didn't lose her presumption of innocence. She was given the day to defend herself and to present evidence for her innocence and for her claims for her legal position. So therefore, Mr. John Doe, who have been legitimized by some erroneous registration of birth and registration of marriage, was able to claim that his dead wife is also Clarissa, and somehow the Talaga surname, because there are many Talaga that had surfaced. Some of them are claiming me as their relative on Facebook. So therefore, Clarissa talaga as also a person whose name is supported by the testimony of relatives, by the registration of birth and marriage, married to a John Doe. So they are a completely normal and real couple, until and unless the court deems them as non-existent with fraudulent or whatever, or erroneous clerical error registration. So this Chando could be remarried, have another name, but it will not stop him from being the widower with a dead wife, Clarissa talaga. And on the other side of the face-off is the spouses, Joaquin and Clarissa talaga Garcia. This time, the widow is Clarissa, and that's me, yours truly. So whenever I speak, I would speak from this trail, from this paper trail and legal position. So who knows, I might be interacting, having snack, sharing meal with people who will say that I am the Clarissa talaga, the wife of a John Doe before I was declared dead, something like that, or I was mistaken to be a dead person. So who knows? Actually, it will take a court proceeding to put the runaway credentials back into the fold of the law, for us to stop being mistaken to be each other. And that is actually what is happening now. So a face-off between John Doe and Clarissa talaga, and Joaquin Garcia and Clarissa talaga. The determinant would be the representation, the presence of verifiable facts like the contact number, the address. So for the longest time, before I was able to become a party of interest in Florida and the state of Florida, United States of America, and also in New York, the representation for spouses Joaquin and Clarissa talaga Garcia, it could not reach the sufficiency in terms of recognition and establishment of our rights, so that the venue should be it was not automatically given. It had taken some conditions of the law to be met. That's why it had taken time. And I believe that it is by God's will alone that my real identification has prevailed. And so the actual schedule of the face-off between the credentials of John Doe and his wife Clarissa talaga, and the documentation and the evidence for spouses Joaquin and Clarissa Garcia, Clarissa talaga Garcia, it's has a visible, it's looming actually. It is part of the process. So that's why I don't want you to let go of the coming uploads, because it is going into that real legal reality. So we are about to meet. If things continue as it is, we're going to meet the people who would be representing John Doe and this Clarissa talaga Garcia. Be it by mistake, by intention, or whatever, like if it's propelled by noble intention, by advocacy, or whatever, of course, they are entitled to their own defense and to their own day in court to prove that their legitimacy is more superior than mine, than ours. So I would like to enjoin you, to invite you, because you would learn a lot, as I am learning day by day, about the intricacies of law and how it affects the person. And as the lawyers will discuss about this, of course, there would be a pushback from one. Right now, like I heard, I heard the statement of our own Senate President Cheese Escudero, Francis Escudero, because yesterday was the State of the Nation address of our Philippine President Bongbong Marcos, and somehow he had some issues that needed to be threshed out. I'm speaking of the Senate President Cheese Escudero, and he said this statement to the effect that for as many lawyers are asked to give their opinion, there could be more than that, the number of opinions varying with each other, because even lawyers consult the same law book, they would come up with different course of actions, interpretations, and way of doing things. So that's why it is important for the messaging system, to stick to the simpler and more understandable presentation, so that especially for the issues with national interest or public interest. One of the reasons why something that's happened locally here in the Philippines can have an acquired jurisdiction outside of the Philippines if it becomes a matter of public interest abroad. So that's why I would be enjoining you to watch out for it, to learn and to be educated as a layperson, because ignorance of the law excuses no one. And it would be interesting with a back and forth, with a give and take, and how technology will make the proceeding move according to law in conformity, like virtual sessions, virtual conferences, virtual meetings. So the interplay, it has a unique aspect to it that I don't think other events have. Like, for instance, the composition of immediate family members, the composition of extended family, the relatives. How will, what will be the eventuality? Because right now, with the confusion, with the distance, with the vague communication, with the incomplete transmittal of documents, given the various advocacy, noble intention behind the course of action, people can, try to pursue the belief, the advocacy, the legal position, sometimes in the fringes of what's right or wrong. So morally right and wrong, it's not the same thing as legally right and wrong. Sometimes they coincide, but sometimes they don't. They are mutually exclusive. What is morally right and wrong will not necessarily ring true with legal rights and wrong, or the legal versus the illegal act. So I, as a layperson, as a writer, and as a someone who had been accustomed to the messaging system and the ways and means that we have now, I believe it has opened my eyes to certain realities that I would like to put out there, and I am expecting the pushback to benefit the viewers, the listeners, me, because I don't know everything. I just fraction, and I stand to be corrected and educated by whatever corrections um, that I will learn during the process. Yes, there are a lot to anticipate and to watch out for. So this is yours truly, Clarice T. Clarissa talaga, not an artificial intelligence. Otherwise, I will not have that, that constitutional right under the civil rights, also known as universal human rights, droit moral, the intellectual property that only a real person can assert, judicially or extrajudicially. So thank you, and I'll be with you very, very soon. Thanks.